Hare Krishna. Today is December 13, 2020. And Hare Krishna, I'm going to facilitate the class and discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudhirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very midst of conquest, one should offer obeisances, respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, to Narayana, which is the supermost human being, and to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto the author, Srila Vyasadeva. Nasta Bradeshu Bradeshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevade Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, questioned by King Parikshit, Canto 2, Chapter 8, text, we are on text 6. Okay. Dota Atma, Purusha, Krishna, Padamulam, Na, Muchati, Mukta, Sarva, Panta, Pariklesha, Panta, Swasharanam, Yata, Dotatma Purusha Krishna, Padamulam Namuchati, Mukta Sarva Pariklesha, Pantaswa Sharanam Yata, Dautatma Purusha Krishna, Padamulam Namunchati, Mukta Sarva Pariklesha, Pantaswa Sharanam Yata, Dautatma Purusha Krishna, Padamulam Namunchati, Mukta Sarva Pariklesha, Pantaswa Sharanam Yata,
Dotatma Purusha Krishna,
Dautatma Purusha Krishna,
Padamulam Namunchati,
Padamulam Namunchati,
Mukta Sarva Pariklesha,
Mukta Sarva Pariklesha,
Pantasva Sharanam Yata,
Pantaswa Sharanam Yata,
Dotatma Purusha Krishna,
Dotatma Purusha Krishna,
Padamulam namunchati.
Padamulam namunchati.
Mukta sarva pariklesha.
Mukta sarva pariklesha.
Hantasva sharanamyata.
Pantasasva shranamyata.
Okay. Dotatma Purusha Krishna.
Dotatma Purusha Krishna.
Paramulam Namunchata.
Padamulam namunchati.
Mukta Sarva Pariklesha.
Mukta sarva pariklesha.
Pantahasva Sharanam Yata.
Tasva sharanam yata.
Dotatma Purusha Krishna.
Dotatma Purusha Krishna.
Paramulam namunchati.
Padamulam namunchati.
Mukta sarva pariklesha.
Sarva pariklesha.
Pantasva sharanamyata.
Tasva sharanam yata. Doubter Atma. A person whose heart has been cleansed.
A person whose heart has been cleansed.
Purusha.
Purusha.
The living being.
The living being.
Krishna.
Krishna.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Padamulam.
Padamulam.
The shelter of the lotus feet.
The shelter of the lotus feet.
Na.
Na.
Never.
Never.
Muchati.
Muchati.
Gives up.
Gives up.
Mukta.
Mukta.
Liberated.
Liberated.
Sarva.
Sarva.
All.
All.
Pariklesha.
Pariklesha.
Of all misery of life.
Of all miseries of life.
Panta.
Panta.
The traveler.
The traveler.
Swasharanam.
Svasharanam.
In his own abode.
In his own abode.
Yata.
Yata.
As it were.
As it were.
Translation. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart is once cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, because they fully satisfied him, as the traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart. But a perfectly cleansed person never quit the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such a devotional service, as it was ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes the representative of the Lord engaged in preaching works meets various so-called difficulties of life. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivers the two fallen souls, Jagad and Madai, and similarly Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are suffered by the devotees in preaching work very gladly, because in such activities, also apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forgot the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because the pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in the heart that he cannot leave the shelter of Lord Krishna in any circumstances. There is no self-interest in such a service. The progress of culturing knowledge by the jnanis or the bodily gymnastic by the yogis are ultimately given up by the respective performers. But the devotee of the Lord cannot give up the service of the Lord, for his order by his spiritual master. Pure devotees like Narada or Nityananda take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes of the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously as the order comes from the higher authority, from the representative of the Lord, or from the Lord himself. The example set herein is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometime in a forest, and sometime in the ocean, and sometime on hilltops. Certainly, there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places. But all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered, and as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles on the way. A pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore is undeterred in discharging his duty in full affectionate tie with the Lord. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyanajala Shalakaya Shakshun Militandyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Kadamayam Datati Swapadam Tikam Vandeham Shri Gu Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gum Vaishnavam Shah Shri Rupam Sagajatam Saganas Magunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagat Pate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Paskachade Jatarine. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart is once cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, because they fully satisfied him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Hare Krishna. So as I was reading this verse, I tried to imagine Parikshit Maharaj in that situation on the bank of the Yamuna River, Ganges, and inquiring from Shukadev Goswami. And when we hear what Maharaj Parikshit is speaking about, we right away understand that his consciousness is very exalted. He has a very, very exalted consciousness that is transcendentally situated already, and still is inquiring from Sukadev Goswami. Why? Because a pure devotee like Maharaj Parikshit relish hearing about the Lord more and more. It's not like the hearing of the Lord. Sometimes there is a personalist. They take about the hearing of the Lord to come to the platform of transcendence, and after they give it up. They give up the worship of the deities. They give up the they give up the hearing and transcendental activities of the Lord, because they use that to come to a platform of liberation, because their devotional service is not pure. Pure devotional service is devoid of jnana and karma. In a Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, written by Srila Rupa Goswami, it starts with Anya Bilasita Sunyam Jnana Karma Anavritam Anukulina Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. And this is a definition of pure devotional service. This is Rupa Goswami starts with like giving us a definition of pure devotional service. And pure devotional service is free of any motivation for my pleasure, my liberation. It's devoid of any I and mine, and it's completely favorable for the Lord. So pure devotional service is also Sutta Goswami responding to the sages of Naimisharanya. He responded, Savai Pumsa Parodamo Yato Bhakti Radoksaji Hahituki Abhatiyata Yayatmatsu Prasidati. That pure devotional service is uninterrupted and unmotivated. So maybe we, as we practice devotional service, we have moments where we remember the Lord. We have moments maybe of surrender. And pure devotional service is uninterrupted. There is no interruption. And here we can see the exalted Maharaj Parikshit is speaking about that uninterrupted devotional service, that nothing is going to stop a devotee from completely being focused on the Lord and on the Lord's service, and thinking of the Lord, remembering the Lord, speaking about the Lord. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada did speak about Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. Really, he goes into like a pure devotee. He will go through so much suffering, and he gives the example of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda, he wanted to glorify Lord Chaitanya. He wanted Lord Chaitanya to be so glorified. So he heard about some reckless constable, like policemen, that they were so reckless. They were always drunk, and they were like mocking people and raping women, and they were cheating and stealing and doing all kind of nonsense activities. And they were trouble. They were trouble for Navadvip. In Navadvip, people were kind of oppressed by them. They were in position of authority and power, and they were so debauched, so degraded. And so Lord Nityananda decided that, okay, if we can preach to Jagan and Madai and transform their heart, then it will be such a glorification of the Lord. So we could see like Lord Nityananda, his only interest was the happiness of Lord Chaitanya. And so Lord Nityananda, he decided, I'm going to go and preach, because Lord Chaitanya, when he was in Navadvip, he really didn't preach. Like, he didn't expand his movement. He started to expand his movement when he left Jagannath Puri to travel to South India. Before that, he was being who he is. And of course, people were inspired by him. People were following him. People were eager to hear his kirtan, but he wasn't like proactively preaching. However, he had Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. He told them, go around, knock on doors, and tell everybody about Krishna. Tell everybody to chant Krishna's name, and tell everybody to serve Krishna. And so Lord Nityananda, of course, he took that instruction of Lord Chaitanya very seriously, And he thought, like, okay, if I can save Jagan and Madai, those two debauchee, then Lord Chaitanya is going to be so glorified. And so he went to them. He went to them and he did what Lord Chaitanya said. He went to them and they were drunk and like that in Navadvip. And he said, chant Krishna's name, chant, glorifies the Lord, chant Krishna's name. And then they were, what is he saying? Who is that guy anyway? And then I don't remember which one, Jagai or Madai. I think maybe it's Madai, but I always confuse the two. He's kind of said, go away, leave us alone. Oh, they were drunk. And then Lord Nityananda, because he just want to please the Lord, he was fixed, he has an intention. Eke Haku Nandana, he was fixed in his mind that he wanted those two to be saved by the Lord. So he continued, even though he was threatened by them, he was threatened to be hurt. He continued to say, please glorify the Lord, please chant Hare Krishna, please glorify the Lord, please speak Bhagavatam. And then don't remember Malai or Jagai, he took her spot and then he threw it at Lord Nityananda. And then Lord Nityananda receives the earth spot on his head, and then blood started to flow. Oh, can you imagine? Like we have Lord Nityananda here, and imagining that blood flowing from his body. And the devotees were shaking, like the devotees that were around, they were shaking. Oh, what's happening to Lord Nityananda? So they ran to Lord Chaitanya. They ran to Lord Chaitanya, and they said, Lord Chaitanya, someone attacked Lord Nityananda and he's bleeding. And Lord Chaitanya came very quickly and he called on his Sudarshan chakra to kill them. And Lord Nityananda shows such compassion. He said to Lord Chaitanya, this is not your mission. Your mission is Namo Mahavadhyanyaya, Krishna Prema Padayati, Krishna Chaitanya, Namni Goratusinama. Your mission is to give love of God to everyone without condition. Your mission in this incarnation is not to kill the demons. And so Lord Chaitanya, he heard and he was very touched by Lord Nityananda's sacrifice, by Lord Nityananda's compassion. Even though he was beaten, even though they were so aggressive with him, he still wanted to save them. And then seeing that, I think it's Madai, but maybe it's Jagai, seeing that like one of them that completely surrendered, he could see how beautiful and merciful Lord Nityananda was and completely surrendered to Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. And then the brothers follow, and then they became amazing devotees of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada did his purport. He said, like a pure devotee is willing to go through so many difficulties in the service of the Lord. And he says that those difficulties are the source of great satisfaction. Why? Because they are pleasing to the Lord. Lord Chaitanya was so pleased with Lord Nityananda. He gives the example also of Prahlad Maharaj, Lord Jesus Christ, and the example that's obvious for us is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated his ability to show us pure bhakti. Throughout his life, he heard the first time he met his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his spiritual master, he said, you're a young man, you're an intelligent young man, you should preach in English. Like not even before saying hi or Haribol or anything, before even bowing down, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur give Srila Prabhupada his mission. And it's, in a sense, it's Srila Prabhupada's mission, but it's all of us, our mission. Like Lord Chaitanya, I'm going to read. Lord Chaitanya, he gave that mission to everyone. He said, Yare deka tarikaha Krishna Upadesh, Amara Agya Guru Hanatara Edesh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna, as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. So Lord Chaitanya, he gave us that mission, and that mission come down to us through the disciplic succession. So through the disciplic succession, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he say, preach in English. He said, preaching English to Srila Prabhupada. And at that time, Srila Prabhupada was married. He already had a child, and he had to maintain a family. However, his heart was fully given to the mission of his spiritual master. He was fully dedicated to this mission of his spiritual master. And throughout his life, we can see that while he was maintaining a family, while he was having a business to maintain his family, and like being a responsible householder, responsible to take care of his wife, to take care of children, he always was meditating on how can I fulfill the mission given to me by my spiritual master. How can I, and that's the heart of a devotee. The heart of a devotee is constantly meditating on pleasing the Lord. And what's most pleasing to the Lord? What's most pleasing to the Lord is to deliver the conditioned soul, because the Lord is the supreme enjoyer. And through his different energies, potencies, emotion, he manifests his expansion. And his expansion are there to increase his bliss, to increase, because Ananda Buddhivardhanam, his bliss is always increasing. So he manifests his part and parcel to increase his bliss, to enjoy. And when his part and parcel that are there to enjoy for him, enjoyable, decide to enjoy separated from the Lord, this is painful for the Lord. This is really painful. It not only painful, but also it limits his ability to enjoy. And the pure devotee understand that. The pure devotee understand that, and the pure devotee is dedicated that I'm going to bring back all the conditioned soul, all the fallen soul. I'm going to bring them back to Lord Sri Krishna, for Lord Sri Krishna to be very pleased, for Lord Sri Krishna to enjoy with all his part and parcel. So the devotee is constantly meditating, and through that meditation, the pure devotees is never disturbed by any impediment, material impediment that may come his way. And it's even very severe, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada say, even very severe impediment that even he said, but such difficulties are suffered by the devotee in preaching work very gladly, because in such activity also apparently very severe, so very severe, the devotee of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. So Srila Prabhupada went to very, very severe difficulties, starting with taking sannyas, like really living in the comfort of his home, living his family, and then finding himself as a mendicant in the street of Calcutta. And there he got attacked by a bull, he got broken, he had no money. Most of the time he will beg for some money, and he will use every penny, every paisa to print back to Godhead in English. And many times he was not even eating. He will sleep in different mats. When he was invited by people, he had no place to stay. And then later on, he moved to Vrindavan, and he continued his life like that, printing and finding ways to continue to bring back to Godhead and writing. So there was a lot of suffering there, a lot of severe conditions of life, alone. He was very alone. There is description of how alone he was, alone and carrying this big mission in his mind, in his mind's heart, in his desire. His desire was fixed on the instruction of his spiritual master. And then later on, he decided at the age of almost 70-year-old to go to the West. At first, he wanted to go to England. It didn't work. Japan, it didn't work. And somehow, through the Scindia ship company, Mrs. Agrawal, she found him a way to go to America by boat. boat, by not a cruise boat. He didn't take a cruise boat. He was on a ship that was a freight ship. He was on a freight ship, and the freight ships, they are not very comfortable. They are not, like, it's not comfortable. It's the bare minimum, and I imagine in the early 60s it was even more austere than it is now. So they are very bare minimum, and so Srila Prabhupada embarked at 70 in that situation. He had his own cabin, and as he was crossing the Atlantic Ocean, he got severe pain and severe condition of 2 heart attack. And it's described that Srila Prabhupada, during his heart attack, he felt the presence of the Lord. He felt the Lord massaging his chest. He felt the Lord driving the boat, rowing the boat. And it was a complete example of what Maharaj Parikshit is describing here, of being able to, in any condition, to not leave the lotus feet of the Lord. And so, and Srila Prabhupada, we know the history, came to the West. In the West, and I know when I think of his pastime, the early pastime in New York, imagining like he suffered cold that he never experienced in his entire life. At 70, for the first time, he was in contact with snow. New York in the winter. I spent a winter in New York doing Sankirtan, and it was miserable. But fortunately, we were going to JFK. So at the airport, it was quite comfortable. But in the street of New York, it's yucky, it's gray, there is practically no sun, it's foggy, it's raining or snowing most of the winter. And Srila Prabhupada was there with his kurti and his dhoti and kurta, no proper winter clothes, no proper shoes. His shoes were made of clothes shoes. And at first he was staying in a center, yoga center, where there was no shower. There was no way for him to bathe. So he will go to the subway. He will go to the subway in the middle of the winter, early in the morning, walking the street of New York with his Indian clothes, going to the subway to take his bath. This is severe condition where that Srila Prabhupada was undertaking with great joy to fulfill the mission of his spiritual master, with great joy to know that this is pleasing to Krishna. Result or no result, if nobody comes, if nobody takes to that chanting of the Lord Chaitanya, it doesn't matter. I'm fixed on the mission of my spiritual master. I'm fixed on pleasing the Lord, to reclaiming all those fallen souls. And of course, the history tells us that all his meditation is because of his strong desire, because of his clear, clean heart, that he filled with that desire to fulfill the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then this big mission of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world in the Western countries got manifested. And within a few years, he has disciples. Within a few years, he has temples all over the world, and farm communities, and so many preaching engagement all over the world. Within a few years, the Mahamantra became the number one on radio in Europe. It's just inconceivable pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, demonstrating how a pure devotee, regardless what he's going through, his mind is fixed, his heart is clean, and his mind is fixed on pleasing the Lord. And to continue, I'd like to speak about another devotee. His name is Kshetraketu, King Kshetraketu. And King Kshetraketu, he was traveling, just like the story. So he was traveling on his airplane, and he arrived in Sumeru Mountains. And there he saw Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva was having Parvati on his laps and damsels all around him, seemingly enjoying himself. And Kshetraketu, joking with Lord Shiva, he laughed very loudly. He just laughs seeing Lord Shiva like that. But Parvati took offense. Mother Parvati, Lord Shiva's consort, she's also the material energy. She took offense. She really took offense and she cursed him. She cursed Chitraketu to become a demon. To become a demon is the worst thing one can suffer. To become a demon, to become inimical to the Lord, to be in that hellish condition of being a demon. And when Chitraketu was cursed like that, he didn't react. He didn't defend himself. He didn't go like, wow, you made a mistake here. I was just joking. We are friends. I understand who is Lord Shiva. He didn't defend himself. He accepted the curse. He accepted the curse, knowing that in any condition of life, even as a demon, he will find a way to remember the Lord because his heart is pure. And here is what he responded to Parvati. Chitraketu, however, was not at all afraid of Parvati's curse, and thus he spoke as follows. Everyone in human society enjoys happiness and distress according to his past deeds, and in this way travel in the material world. Therefore, no one is responsible for his happiness and distress. One is controlled by the influence of material nature in the material world. Yes, yet one thinks himself the doer of everything. In this material world, which is made of the external energy of the Supreme Lord, one is sometimes cursed and sometimes favored, and thus is sometimes enjoyed in upper planetary system and sometimes suffer in a lower planet. But all these situations are the same because they are within this material world. None of these position has any factual existence, for all of them are temporary. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate controller, because the material world is created, maintained, and alienated under his control, while he nevertheless remains neutral to this different transformation of the material world in time and space. The material external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in charge of this material world. The Lord helps the world by creating situation for the living entity within it. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Devi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratraya. Mame Vaye Papadante. Maya Metam Taontite. And the Lord explained that is divine energy of mind, the divine consisting of the three of material nature. So it's divine energy of mind. That's represented by the three material nature, is very, very difficult to overcome. So difficult to overcome. But for one who surrendered to the Lord, it's very, very easy. One can very easily cross beyond it, he said. One can very easily cross beyond it. So the pure devotee, even when he faces any difficulty, Anayabhilashita Shunyam, is not, his devotion is not mixed with desire for liberation. That's really important to understand, that the pure devotee's desire is never mixed with desire for liberation. Desire for liberation is like trying to fight the material energy, trying to I don't want to suffer. So because I don't want to suffer, I'm practicing devotional service. But the pure devotee is free. Pure devotional service is free from the desire for liberation. And naturally, in fact, the devotee is always in ecstasy, always in bliss. So we don't want to imitate. That's an important part too, to understand what is pure devotional service, and to understand that pure devotional service does exist. And it does exist because we have an example of Srila Prabhupada. We can take shelter of the pure devotee to understand pure devotional service, what it is, and at the same time not wanting to imitate pure devotional service, to understand that our devotional service is mixed. It's mixed with a desire for liberation. It's mixed with a desire for happiness. it's mixed with jnana, the desire for knowledge. It's mixed with the three mode of material nature. Sometimes our service will maybe mixed with some tamas, where just like, you know, some inertia there. I'm doing my service, but it's kind of automatic. I'm not thinking about it too much. Sometimes our devotional service may be mixed with passion. Passion is like I desire something from it. I have an agenda to become famous. That's one. You know, to be seen as advanced, to be admired, to be, all that is Raja mixed with our devotional service. Or sometimes it's mixed with goodness, like a desire for a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. And while our devotional service is mixed like that with jnana and karma and with the three mode of material nature, we want to remember where we are at, and we want to remember the goal. And we want to remember that, in a sense, in devotional service, the means and the goal is one. So as we purified our heart, as we continue to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, as we continue to spread Krishna consciousness with movements, that's so much of what Srila Prabhupada spread, we want to remember that we are in the shower. We are in the cleansing of our heart. Sometimes it is said like, okay, if someone is dirty and he goes under the shower, we do not say like, oh, you know, criticize that person. That person is just dirty. No, sorry, that's what I wanted to say. No, we don't criticize the person. The person is under the shower. We say, so that person is getting cleansed. That person is getting cleansed. So let's allow that person to be clean, and at the same time understand that they're not yet out of the shower. So understanding that for ourselves, that yeah, my devotional service is mixed with tamas. My devotional service is mixed with raja. My devotional service is mixed with sattva. Yes, there is fruitive desire in my devotional service. Yes, there is desire for liberation in my devotional service. Yes, there is desire for knowledge and admiration in my devotional service. And knowing that by continuing the process, all that is going to be cleansed. It's a Srimvatam Swagata Krishna. Punya Shravanya Kirtana Ridyantasto Yabhadrani. Vidu Noti Sut Satam. Like it says, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead with the Paramatma in everyone's super soul, in everyone's heart. Is and the benefactor of the truthful devotee. And that's truthful devotee is so important. That our qualification is to be truthful. In Kali Yoga, truthfulness is the last leg of religion. So our qualification is to be sincere, and through that sincerity, being truthful. Truthful, what does it mean? To see like, yeah, I'm not a pure devotee. Yes, I have desire. Yes, my heart is dirty. And so Srimvatam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Vidyantasto Yabhadrani. We do notice so it's Satam. So Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with the super soul in everyone's heart, Paramatma, cleans the hearts of the truthful devotee who have developed the urge to hear his message, which are in themselves, virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So that's a process. And Srila Brahmaji, he was teaching Narada Muni, and he said, yeah, I receive like a edited or a short version of transcendental knowledge from Krishna. Now I'm giving it to you, and now I want you to spread that. And Srila Prabhupada said that's a process. the process is to receive the knowledge and desire to give that knowledge. And by that desire of giving that knowledge, then our heart is cleansed. But by these desires, and we get to please the Lord. And when the Lord is pleased, it's our greatest happiness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur will say, anxiety by taking anxiety in your service, then that's the greatest of my happiness. That's we read that not so long ago in Sharanagati. Bhaktivinoda Thakur spent a lot of time to help us meet ourselves where we are at, understanding our envy, jealousy, anger, all the dirt in our hearts, the way we cheat, the way we all that, and also understanding that the only way for us to save ourselves is to meet ourselves where we are at, and then desire to be pleasing to Guru and Krishna. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to read the verse again. Dautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namuchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Bantaswa Sharanam Yata. A pure devotee of the Lord whose heart is at once cleansed by the process of devotional service never will languish the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, because they fully satisfy him as the traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. I just want to finish with Lord Chaitanya's first shloka of the Shikshastakam. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava mahavdavagni nirvapanam Shreya karyavad chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam Ananda buddhivardhanam patitanam purnamritaswadanam sarvatmasna param param vijayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to Shri Krishna's Sankirtan movement, which cleans in the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life, of repeated births and deaths. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. It is an ocean of bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. So the Sankirtan movement, Sankirtan is congregational chanting of the holy name, which means to really constantly being able to share with people, enlighten each other, enlighten people, be with them where they are at, and support them to go further in their spiritual journey. Hare Krishna, thank you for listening. I'm really happy to hear your comment, question, realization. Hare Krishna. If there is no question and comment, we are going to complete the class. Hare Krishna. Kantora Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.